Hey everybody, I'm going to do Leisenring's Tups Nymph. This is the first of two nymph patterns in his 12 favorite flies. I'm using a modern hook, a size 14 barbless. Primrose silk. For the buttonhole twist, I'm using Pearsall's Naples. Using cock honeydone fibers for the tail, and a light gray for the hackle. The recipe doesn't talk about a tail, but in the part of the book where he describes the process for tying the fly, he does talk about a tail. So up to you whether you want to have a tail, not have a tail. I leave that up to you. I'm just tying in the feather. You want the hackle barbs here to be very small, as opposed to a hackle fly. This is going to be a nymph, so very small legs here. And you're just going to tie back half. Because he used wax thread, he only wants you to go back halfway with the tying part of the primrose. And then the buttonhole twist in primrose is going to wrap back. That way when it's wet, you don't have the wax thread underneath it, and it will be more, transparent as that silk gets wet. So I'm tying in two, I think I maybe have three there by accident, but 3 fibers from that honeydone cock feather. The rope that's going to make the thorax of the fly in the upper half is created by primrose silk and yellow seal fur mixed with a little bit of claret. Just wrapping back. This is a little time consuming here because of the hook point and trying to keep the tail on top and not having a bobbin here. But once we get all the way to the back, we should be good. And then we're going to wrap forward. I'll show you a picture at the end of one of Leisenring's tying of this fly, and he actually has a wire rib, which is not mentioned in the example where he goes through how to tie this fly, nor is it listed as an option in the recipe list. But again, by all means go ahead and use. It's clear that he used different things at different times for many of these flies. It wasn't one recipe fits all. There's my rope. As I did this fly and go through it, you'll see the fibers for this, both the seal and the claret, I feel I left them too long. I don't have a coffee grinder to mix this stuff up. I cut it all by hand, and so tying is learning. If the next time I do this and make up the dubbing blend and do the rope, I'll either use a coffee grinder or cut it much smaller. I'm trying to build this to be a fuzzy thorax here. Tie it off, 2 wraps. You can see it's pretty crazy there. A lot of straggly seal fibers. So I'm going to clean it up a little bit before I wrap the hackle so I can see what's going on, see where I'm putting that hackle with each wrap. I just clean it up a little bit, cutting the fibers down so they're a little less long and a little more leggy, a little bit more buggy. Lots of recipes, obviously, for the Tups dubbing, including, the famous rams. Rams will, if you don't have seal fur, by all means, just simply blending yellow and claret or yellow and red wool would be totally fine. Maybe even a little bit of hair under for with it as well. And now I'm gonna do two to three at most wraps of the hackle, and you can see the hackle fibers are short here. Again, this is the nymph, not a wingless fly or a hackle fly. And just use the edge of your scissors, cut that sucker out. Push it all back. And try to do a little clipping. Run that silk to the eye and then back and push those hackle fibers up against that dub thorax. And once you get there, I can't stop primping it. Once you get there and get everything all cleaned up to your liking, do a 3 to 4 turn whip finish, back to front. And that will finish off the fly. Now, of course, in this time period that Leisenring's alive, he waxed the thread, which does help quite a bit in tying for the actual tying silk. I don't think you actually need to do that. Here's Leisenring's version that was at the Hotel Rapids. And thank you very much. Bye.